analyst. Manisha Priyam, as someone who has tracked the twists and turns of Bihar politics very closely, what are your thoughts on today?
So this has been very, very crisp. Let me begin with the last minutes of what we saw today. A very crisp and a very firm communication sent to the governor of Bihar by the chief minister, the erstwhile chief minister now, Mr. Nitish Kumar. And that communication says, I now resign. Now, quite a surprise, because here was this chief minister who, with all his differences, one would hear of these differences for a long time now, he had voted with the NDA in favor of Draupadi Murmu. He did not take the bait. The joint opposition candidate, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, was not someone he voted for. So he kept himself away from any of the formulations of a so-called combined opposition. Here he was focused completely. I would say today that as a politician, I would see him as somebody who's focused completely on the goal, the Arjun's eye as it is called, and which was that he wanted to walk out of the BJP and wanted to time it well. These discomfitures were evident very much at the time of the poll. I have said in many channels, and yours too, that the doing in of Nitish Kumar, the 44 odd seats that he got, he felt that it was the BJP that had done him in. He felt that Chirag Paswan had been a Trojan horse. So these uncomfortable issues remained. And when the government came, the coming in of Tarkishore Prasad to replace a very comfortable relationship, Mr. Sushil Modi, that meant that in the elections and in governance thereafter, it was not the same coalition that he was leading. Thereafter, you could see the BJP workers were very, very, restive. They felt that they were better off going on their own. The BJP does today feel that it does not want to take care of the anti-incumbency of the Nitish Kumar rule. So the BJP also justified there. And when Mr. Amit Shah and JP Nadda have visited Bihar this time, I think much to the comfort of their cadres, they made this announcement that they would perhaps fight 200 seats on their own. And you found that on the streets, the JDU workers were willing to oppose the visit of JP Nadda to a university that he's belonged to. His father's taught there. So I think the script was written all over the place, but Nitish Kumar timed it very well. And what I would give him credit for is the fact that this is a government in which he's worked out the last detail. The 4 numbers that have come from the Hum and the Independent, all of this worked out without, as you said, no resort politics, nothing going on about MLAs making statements anywhere. Although the JDU is not such a cadre-based party, you saw that the flock stayed together. You also saw that the RJD flock stayed together. Last but not the least, nobody's talking about the left. It's very, very important to see that the left had been keenly watching the situation. Absolutely. No statements coming from them as of now. They are the ones who fought that election without too many resources, without the backing of any of these large alliance partners, and they've been quietly watching this space. So I would say, yes, Nitish Kumar has survived for now, gone to the other side, but he's made a political opportunity for himself. Let's see what the script is now. As far as the BJP is concerned, they've also got what they wanted. They can go it all alone and test the waters. They are not scared of fighting direct elections.
So is it a win-win situation for everyone? Is it a win-win situation for everyone, Nirja Chaudhary? Let's not forget that there is an emergence of an assertive Tejasvi Yadav, which will be visible, if anything, in that impromptu press conference that happened right here in front of the barricades of one NMR. It was Tejasvi who took that lead, kept on saying Mukhyamantri Ji, so showing that respect, ensuring that Nitish Kumar doesn't feel any kind of jitters here. But when we look at while we look at Nitish Kumar, conveniently walking out of one alliance, stitching another alliance, what does it mean for Tejasvi Yadav? This is not the same Tejasvi of 2015.
No, absolutely right. That press conference showed how much Tejasvi Yadav has actually evolved, following in the footsteps of his father. He gave an ideological spin to the whole move today. I mean, he talked about Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb, giving another spin to the whole concept of secularism. He talked about Samvidhan and democracy. He talked about socialism. He talked about caste. He talked about, all those things that make the base of the both the parties, Janata Dal U as well as the RJD. So I thought it was a very good performance and yet deferential to Nitish Kumar. You know, the reason why Nitish Kumar is going to be 8-time chief minister is because of the timely alliances he's made over the decades. We can fault him for, you know, flip-flopping ideologically, but he's made them very cleverly, and he has been the smaller party, not the larger party, whether it was RJD or whether it was BJP, and yet compelled them to make him chief minister. But the reason why he's moving...
All the sides... Yes. Yes, go ahead, Nirja.
And he wanted to retain Bihar. National role comes later, but if Bihar goes out of his hands, there is going to be no national role. So, obviously, a larger package has been... Tejasvi may take over as chief minister in 2023. He may be projected, Nitish may be projected as the prime ministerial face of the opposition. That still has to be worked out, whether the entire opposition will go with it. And today...
Let me take that question straight to Gurdeep Sappal of the Congress party. Gurdeep Sappal, the fact is that there is evident trust deficit. The question is, the RJD has decided to trust Nitish Kumar, and given the kind of equation that Sonia Gandhi and Lalu Yadav have, perhaps it's Lalu Yadav who convinced Mrs. Gandhi that this is the way forward as far as Bihar politics is concerned. But Nitish Kumar today and his party, Upendra Kushwaha, who is the state JDU president, have revealed Nitish Kumar's national ambition, that he is looking at 2024 in a different role. Will the Congress cede that space?
Maria, this is very interesting the way you have put up the question, because it talks more about something which can be conjured up in future but doesn't talk about present. I don't know from where you got this information that Laluji and there was a conversation. No. Here, Congress party's line is very clear. We are against the politics of Bharatiya Janata Party. We are against the way Bharatiya Janata Party is dividing the Indian society, is tearing away the fabric of the society of India, the way it is demolishing the institutions. And whenever there's a chance that Bharatiya Janata Party can be, government can be changed in a state, we'll support them. Tejasvi Yadav and Congress Party, RJD Congress Party are already in alliances Bihar, and we are strongly backing any change in Bihar. About 2024, I think that's too far. Today we should be talking about why this change was necessary. Today we should be talking about what this government is going to do in next 2 years to set up an example, how the institutions can be honored, how the communalism poison which has been spread by BJP can be tackled in this country, or at least in the state of Bihar. That is the question that we should be talking about today. 24 will come. 24 will come. It's a wrong impression that...
the reason why I asked you that question was because the formula that has been worked out between Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav is the fact that he has agreed to return as the Deputy Chief Minister or a deputy to Nitish Kumar because he is looking at 2025. And he has been told that by 2024, Nitish Kumar looks at the larger national role, and as Upendra Kushwaha famously tweeted, कि देश को उनके नेतृत्व की जरूरत है, and Tejasvi will be looking at the state of Bihar. That is the reason why I asked you that question.